Buyers want AI cost savings passed through, and vendors want AI costs paid for. That tension is going to show up in renewals. It's going to show up in budgeting, and it's going to show up in your pricing strategy. In a quarterly business review, the CFO is going to ask, if this process is AI enabled now, why are we still paying the same price that we used to pay? It isn't about adopting AI faster. It's about, what are we actually selling? Are we selling effort? Are we selling access? Are we selling accountability? Is it risk transfer? Are we selling outcomes? Those are not all the same thing. The core question isn't, are we adopting AI? It's this: what are we paying for? What are we charging for? And does that still match reality? And if you don't answer that intentionally for your organization, the market is going to answer that for you. But if that happens, it won't be on your terms. Buyers are starting to treat AI as proof that certain things should cost less money. And they're using that belief to negotiate contracts right now. And that's independent of whether they have implemented AI themselves or not. Over the past week, you've probably seen a lot of AI headlines about public companies falling in valuation and falling in price. Volatility everywhere, but the most important AI story had nothing to do with a new model, and it had everything to do with pricing power. Here's what happened. The argument is shifting. It is no longer, we're going to replace you with AI. It's, we both know this work can be done a lot cheaper now, and we want to see that reflected in your pricing. So here's what I think is really going on. A lot of people think that the volatility in the markets is about AI replacing workers, and that's not what it is at all. This is about leverage. AI is becoming an argument in pricing negotiations. Whether the work has changed yet or not is secondary. The buyer's belief has changed, and that's all that matters right now. And pricing is anchored in belief. If an asteroid was heading towards Earth right now, the chaos would not start when the asteroid hit the Earth. It would start when people believed that it was going to. Pricing works that exact same way. Now think about how that works inside of a company. If you run a services firm, legal, consulting, implementation, managed services, your pricing has historically been tied to people touching that work. Billable hours, expertise, headcount, utilization. Now, clients are going to ask one simple question. If you are using AI internally, why are your rates still the exact same? Even if the quality still depends on expert judgment, even if the risk hasn't changed, even if accountability hasn't changed, the buyer's reference point is still shifting. That's structural. And this is not just isolated to audit. Anywhere pricing assumes that more people equals more revenue is about to get pressure tested. Enterprise software charges per seat. Consulting firms bill by the hour. Implementation teams price on effort. Managed services are tied to labor intensity. Per seat planning gets weaker. If your budgeting model assumes headcount growth equals license growth, that logic is going to feel some stress as automation absorbs throughout. And on the other side, vendors are not standing still. Reuters reported that Figma is shifting towards a hybrid model that uses AI credits and usage caps. That's because different AI features carry different compute costs. Vendors don't want open-ended margin exposure, so they're moving towards usage-based constructs. These are coming in the form of credits, caps, add-ons, minimums, bundles. More complexity, more negotiation surface area. And that's the two-sided squeeze that we see forming. Buyers want AI cost savings passed through, and vendors want AI costs paid for. That tension is going to show up in renewals. It's going to show up in budgeting, and it's going to show up in your pricing strategy. In a quarterly business review, the CFO is going to ask, if this process is AI enabled now, why are we still paying the same price that we used to pay? Business development teams are going to use AI efficiency as standard language in new contracts. And that's going to be the case even if the buyers haven't implemented AI themselves internally. That's the part that doesn't even matter. Belief is enough to cause this to happen. Others also discussed what they call the AI scare trade in the markets right now, and others have used things like SaaSpocalypse. A lot of sectors that are viewed as vulnerable have been repriced already. You've seen this if you've looked at software or service stocks in the last couple of weeks. And whether that pricing is appropriate or not doesn't really matter. The boards see it, CFOs read about it, and the questions are going to enter planning meetings sooner or later. And that's how this thing spreads. It's not spreading through code. It's through internal financial conversations. If you're thinking about this just as a technology upgrade story, you've missed the whole point. This is a margin story. This is a leverage story. This is a pricing architecture story. And pricing architecture is slow to change until it isn't. This is where decision makers need discipline going forward. AI makes actions cheaper and faster. Cheaper to generate, cheaper to test, cheaper to scale. But easier does not mean correct or right. It means faster. And when things move faster, they crash faster. And mistakes, they scale faster. So if you rush to cut ties with a vendor because AI now exists, before you understand what was actually changed in your cost structure, you can damage your own margins unnecessarily. On the other hand, if you ignore the shift while your competition adjusts, well, then you've lost all your leverage. And so that's the new tension. It isn't about adopting AI faster. It's about, what are we actually selling? Are we selling effort? Are we selling access? Are we selling accountability? Is it risk transfer? Are we selling outcomes? Those are not all the same thing. If your value is accountability and expertise under uncertainty, AI may reduce the effort without reducing any of the responsibility. But if your pricing model is still anchored in effort alone, while the buyer is anchored to perceived efficiency, you now have a mismatch. And that mismatch will eventually show up at renewals. It'll show up in churn, and it'll show up in valuation. So slow this down. Before reacting, ask this question: what actually changed in our cost structure? What has changed our buyer perception? And are those two the same thing? A lot of times, those are misaligned, and that's where tension starts. And that's where real leadership shows up. The core question isn't, are we adopting AI? It's this: what are we paying for? What are we charging for? And does that still match reality? And if you don't answer that intentionally for your organization, the market is going to answer that for you. But if that happens, it won't be on your terms. So here's the question I want you to sit with. If a customer said to you today, "We know this should cost less because of AI," how would you respond to that specifically? And what would you be defending? That's a conversation worth having before it's forced on you.